Welcome back to the IBFP. Here's your host, Boxing Nuke.
Welcome back, fight fans. It's me again. Yes, it's me again. Let's just dig right into it. Canelo Alvarez, most likely opponent for May, according to Eddie Hearn, is Daniel the Miracle Man Jacobs. Yes, that's right. Daniel the Miracle Man Jacobs. Let's dig into Daniel Jacobs into this matchup. Daniel Jacobs has 34 wins, 2 losses. He has 29 knockouts, and he has been knocked out one time in 2010 to a Dmitry Pirog. He lost in the 5th round. Now, basically, if you look at it like this, Daniel Jacobs, he was going through a lot at that time in which he took that loss. I don't like to make excuses for fighters, but I will tell you that from my viewing of Daniel Jacobs, I believe he has a very, very good and solid chin. His chin has been questioned many times because of that loss to Dmitry Pirog, and he stood up to that test again and again. The circumstances surrounding the stoppage loss to Dmitry Pirog was basically the fact that when he fought that fight, his grandmother had just passed, and also in addition to that, he had been diagnosed with cancer a little bit shortly after that. So Daniel Jacobs actually had a lot of circumstances and things going on at that time and affecting his body. I don't hold that against him because he's never looked in danger of getting stopped at any point during his career other than that lone fight based on the circumstances. So I don't look at that as a huge deal for Daniel Jacobs. One of his biggest wins of his career, maybe the biggest win of his career, was fighting a Peter Quillen in a first-round stoppage loss in 2015. He basically came in there and bombed out Peter Quillen in the first round. As you can tell, since he has 29 knockouts and 34 wins, basically, if you look at Daniel Jacobs, it's fair to assume that he's a full-fledged middleweight. He's a knockout artist, and he's a damn good fighter. He's about 6 feet tall with a 73-inch reach, so he has good height. He's bigger than Canelo, and so you have to understand that this will be a very difficult task for Canelo. And his fight with Gennady Golovkin, the only other person that you've ever seen give Golovkin this type of hell, aside from Canelo Alvarez, is Daniel Jacobs. I personally thought that Daniel Jacobs may have edged that fight out, but if you gave it a draw similar to the Canelo fights, I'm okay with that. I think Daniel Jacobs did a lot in that fight. He did get knocked down in that fight, but some people view it as a push. I'm kind of on the ropes on that. Daniel Jacobs' last 2 fights came against Luis Arias in 2017, in which he won by a 12-round unanimous decision. Luis Arias attempted to survive that entire fight. His next fight in 2018 came against Machai Sulecki, in which he won a 12-round unanimous decision, and he dropped him late in the fight. That was a very interesting fight as well. Daniel Jacobs took more punishment in that fight, but he was looking for the knockout. His next fight comes on October 27th against Sergey Derevyanchenko, and this will be for the vacant IBF world title that Triple G basically had stripped when he fought his most recent fight against Avanis Monterosian outside of Canelo Alvarez. Now, if you look at it like this, when Daniel Jacobs fights Sergey Derevyanchenko, these guys have been sparring partners. These guys have put in work together, so they know each other very well. Sergey Derevyanchenko is 12-0. Now, you have to understand that Sergey Derevyanchenko has had a lot of amateur fights, but he's not been at this professional level for a very long time. So I believe the heavy favorite in this is going to be Daniel Jacobs. I do believe Daniel Jacobs win this fight by a late stoppage or a 12-round unanimous decision. I feel like Daniel Jacobs wins this fight cleanly in either form or fashion. He may not want to take as many risks since he has the Canelo fight on the line, so he may just cruise for a decision rather than looking for a knockout or a stoppage unless he needs one. His matchup with Canelo Alvarez, I think that's a very good fight. Honestly, I think Daniel Jacobs gives Canelo the biggest and best challenge at middleweight. I think this is the best fight to be made because he has the power of, some would say, of a Triple G, slightly less, but slightly more than Canelo, I would say, especially at middleweight. He's a bigger middleweight, a stronger middleweight, but Canelo's boxing ability and his chin is fucking elite. So I think this is a 50-50 fight. I'm not favoring either guy at this point. If that fight is made, hopefully it's next, and hopefully Daniel Jacobs gets past Sergey Deverenchenko. But if it is next in May, then I look at it like this. It's a 50-50 fight. I'll have to look at how the guys are coming in. I'll have to look at how Canelo does against Rocky Fielding and how Daniel Jacobs does against Sergey Deverenchenko. That would be a very good fight, a very entertaining fight, and a boxing chess match and masterclass. Both of these guys can box at an elite level. Both of these guys have power, and both of these guys have good chins, in my opinion. I know a lot of people would disagree with that based on the Dmitry Pirog fight and Daniel Jacobs. Who knows? Maybe that could be the difference maker. Maybe Canelo gets him out of there. Maybe Daniel Jacobs schools Canelo. I don't know. I think that's a very close fight, a very good fight, and I'm not ready to call that fight yet until I see more from both of these guys. Canelo at 168 against Rocky Fielding, and how Daniel Jacobs looked against Sergey Deverenchenko, and see what these guys' weaknesses and skill sets are a little bit more, because that's a very close fight. And anyone that tells you it's not, is really not that keen on Daniel Jacobs or haven't seen him. The guy's a fucking elite fighter, and this will be a very close fight. Once again, it's the IBFP. Please share, like, and you must absolutely subscribe.